Welcome to Crypto Tutors. We are humanizing cryptocurrency and blockchain and are bringing the best trailblazers and success stories like Isaiah Jackson, Tanya Evans, Ian Bellina, Cleve Messidor, and Tinashe Nitaganga on the Crypto Couch. Click subscribe and the bell to be the first to watch the latest interviews every single week.
Crypto Tutors, Crypto Tutors, hey.
It's a way. Making money in my sleep? Making money in my sleep. Justin Rhetoric, we're super amplified to have you on the Crypto Couch, Justin, AKA Bitcoin Vegan. The topic for today's discussion is going to be about a transformation story, a redemption story, someone who took the initiative to learn about one of the most innovative technologies in the fintech space, providing information, knowledge, education, and also helping people of color, particularly the Black community, learn how to harness the power of crypto through Bitcoin. Matter of fact, his company's named Bitcoin Vegan. So Justin, welcome to the Crypto Couch. What's up?
Hey, what's going on? It's me, Justin Redrick. I'm here. It was great to meet you and your team, Nina, in Miami. And so, yeah, we're here. And definitely it's been a hell of a ride. It's still going on, but, you know, Bitcoin has been the saving grace that has been, you know, the real transformation of everything. But like you said, taking hold of it, you have to do it. You got to do it. There really is no other thing that's out there going on right now.
Justin, you know, I love your story. You know, I talked about it being a redemption story. I talked about it being transformational. Let's talk a little bit about how you were first introduced to crypto. Like, where does your journey begin so folks can know what's what?
So my journey into Bitcoin began before I got into Bitcoin. See, my journey in general is what led me to have real conviction in Bitcoin. It started like way back when me and my mom, we lost our home to the housing market crash, kind of a pandemic type of shit we're going on through now. Or if you want to say a bubble in that market might be on the way. Who knows? I hope not, but you got 0% interest on homes, so shit can get ugly. But from there, I had gone to a different high school that year. One of my good friends was killed at a party some of us were at. I still graduated high school. However,
North Carolina?
Yeah, this is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah, Charlotte, North Carolina. You know, from there, I still went to school, but I dropped out of college because of finances, not being able to stay focused. A lot of other mental health things going on. I chose to party instead of going to school. I really didn't have any type of vision when I went to college. I just did that because that's what everybody else did. But I felt like I always knew I would be attracted to the things that were going on in the world that makes sense. I dropped out of college after doing a lot of partying, smoking weed, chasing girls. And then when I came home from home from school, I ended up hanging with a whole different crowd that led me to make decisions that made me go to prison for 3 years. So, and during that time, in 3 years in prison, you know, I learned a lot about myself, learned how to, you know, learn better. That was one of the things I focused on, learning how to learn. And then just notice myself, like I didn't notice how, you know, smart I really was. I said, you know, when I get out, I want to do something very, very challenging, like on the lines of studying physics at Harvard. But then, you know, I was out of prison for a few years. Then I ran across the man of the year, Bitcoin Zay, Isaiah Jackson.
Ironically, he's a friend to the Crypto Couch.
I've been knowing Zay since I was like 11 years old. And so I met up with him. I didn't even meet up with him. I just ironically ran into him at a gas station here in Charlotte. And he said, Justin. I'm like, what's up? And, you know, we started talking and whatnot. I said, I follow him on Instagram. At first I said, what is Bitcoin Zay?
If it's okay, I'm just curious, you know, what were you in prison for 3 years for?
I was in prison for armed robbery, conspiracy robbery, a dangerous weapon. And it's like reliving the most stupidest shit I did in my life. But it's all good.
I'm happy to hear that, you know, you are a rehabilitated man. You know, you
Mhm.
use your time very wisely to recognize how knowledge correlates to power. And
Right.
you know, we at Crypto Tutors, that is part and parcel to our mission. We strive to educate the, you know, Black, brown, female community around how cryptocurrency and blockchain can be leveraged to generate transgenerational wealth. And I think you and your story are a testament to how being in the crypto world, you know, there isn't as, you know, it's not a biased system. Anyone can participate regardless of their background, their, you know, race, their education, etc. So again, that's reinforcing why this is such a amazing technology. And also when it comes to economic empowerment for historically marginalized communities. Again, you know, you are a testament to how crypto and Bitcoin in particular can really empower you to create wealth, to develop yourself, and cultivate the education required to navigate the space, which is part of what you do, and we'll get into that as well. My second question, Justin, was around what time, you know, you had sort of this chance encounter with Bitcoin Zay. What
Yeah.
year was that?
I want to say it was 2016.
Okay, so this is like even before Bitcoin crashed.
So when I first bought Bitcoin, it was around $626. And so, yeah, when we were meeting, like when he told me about it, I was like, all right, you know, I followed him online. And then I just started looking at his page. And then I got scammed by this company called Coins. And I saw they had Bitcoin all over their website. So I was like, all right, you know, long story short, I lost, you know, I lost $150. But I was like, all right. So yeah, after that, I was like, all right, let me holler at Zay. And so then one day we met up, and he just laid out to me, you know, because I think he had been in Bitcoin like 3 years at that time. And I was like, all right, well, you're the only person I know about it. And he was definitely, you know, running it off. And he says decentralized. So when he told me it was decentralized, that stood out to me a whole lot because I could relate decentralized currency with stamps in prison. So that was like the key indicator for me to run with it. So decentralization, the very simple answer is, you know, no institution or government or entity is standing in between the middle of your transactions. No one is you don't have an overseer of your money like you do with USD. Decentralization is where you have zero people in the middle or having control over your currency and finances. And
no
so,
intermediaries, no central banks, no anything.
right. No devs that can run back the code if they choose to. So nobody is actually in control of the money. So when it came to the stamps, you know, now stamps to a degree, they were still centralized because, you know, the prison guards could like, all right, you know, they could raid your locker and take everything you have. But essentially, like with stamps, if no one can send you money, you know, to your debit card, and not debit card, but your ID card, then you had to use the currency on the yard that was stamps. And most of us, we kept stamps in circulation so we could always have a revolving economy going around on the yard. And sometimes people would have more stamps that they have money on their card. So they will always be able to participate in any type of business or commerce on the yard. So that's how I started looking at Bitcoin. It was like, well, hell, let's say you have very little USD, but you have more Bitcoin, then you're able to participate in the world, in a whole entire different world, just using Bitcoin. I had to learn how to use Bitcoin. Like there was times where when Zay first started Gentlemen of Crypto, I would review the altcoins back in 2017, and he'll pay me, you know, every other week or so ever to do that with Bitcoin. You know, so that's how
Gentlemen of Crypto.
Yeah, the Gentleman of Crypto, yeah.
You became a researcher. Then in connecting with Isaiah, you were able to join his team with the Gentlemen of Crypto, which is a YouTube show they produce where they talk about, you know, what's going on in the crypto world. And Justin, you became a researcher that was providing, you know, insights related to alternative coins, shit coins, as they call them, Bitcoin maximalists. I don't know if you consider yourself a Bitcoin maximalist, but
man,
you know,
listen,
I don't be feeling anything other than Bitcoin. So
I was at Shitcoin 2021 defending Bitcoin, so they might consider me a Bitcoin maximalist. So
hold on. Justin, you know that Crypto Tutors, FNT5 pulled up to the Shitcoin conference. We talked about, coincidentally, how crypto is closing the economic wealth gap for marginalized communities globally. So, you know, we're talking the same talk, and it was great to hear your perspective at the Shitcoin conference. Even though you were defending Bitcoin, it's all good. Hashtag no judgment. But some people in the comments might judge you, but that's all right though, because we're community builders, we're uniting people, and we're empowering people to transform knowledge into wealth, whatever cryptocurrency speaks, the most to them.
Yeah, I mean, like I told them there, y'all can buy whatever you want. I'll still buy Bitcoin, and I think it kind of rubbed them the wrong way when I said, because it was me and Tone Vage on stage. I said, listen, just the more Bitcoin y'all don't buy when Bitcoin is in the red, that's
the more Bitcoin for you.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not getting upset no more. I used to, I guess because for whatever reason, but at the end of the day, I really can't stop nobody from doing what they want to do. This is the point of having a free open market. You know what I mean? So buy what you want, and now buy Bitcoin.
So let's go back to your story, right? You started to get more involved in the industry. You were doing, research for Isaiah and his team. At that point, this was about 2016, 2017, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. At that point, were you convinced that you wanted to buy Bitcoin? You wanted to go long on Bitcoin? What was kind of your mental, your mental process at that point?
When you start out with zero money, and I think that's what it was. I started out with zero money, very little money, very little experience in anything. So I was wide open to learn about Bitcoin. And I can instantly just see the world operate off of it. Even with, the plus side of me using stamps in prison, but I didn't really see things being a problem like everybody else saw it. It was just easier. It was just easier because I didn't have any experience. And then I started thinking like, well, 100 years or 10, 20 years from now, people will just be hopping into Bitcoin without even knowing much of, the old way of doing things. So why not just do it now?
So this is really critical in your story because, you had the foresight to recognize that this, new, form of currency could literally not just revolutionize, but I would say evolutionize the world. The fact of the matter was that you started to see people that you trusted, that you had respect for, getting involved and evangelizing and advocating for the currency, which I'm sure had, a lot to do with persuading you that this was something that you wanted to get involved in. With Bitcoin, there's fractional buying. I believe it's to the 8th decimal level. So for folks out there who think that, you can't afford, $35,000, $40,000, Bitcoin, the fact is that you can buy Satoshis. And, we should also talk about your affiliation with the Black Bitcoin Billionaires, because there's so much great discussion in the Black Bitcoin billionaire community around daily cost averaging, which is purchasing, fractional shares of Bitcoin, Satoshis, hashtag stack sats, hashtag we got to make sure. Justin, in the comments, if we have any people, who are aware or are affiliated with BBB, we want to make sure that they're shouting you out. They're giving you your props for all the knowledge and the wisdom that you and your team stay dropping.
And everybody, matter of fact, everybody who's listening, if you send me the word Crypto Tutors to my Instagram, Bitcoin Vegan, or Twitter, Bitcoin_vegan, you will qualify for a $125 discount on my course. So drop that, Crypto Tutor, send me that, and only send it if you want an invoice sent to your name and email for $75 for the course. If you don't want it, then you can say, send me your free chapter of your book and I'll send you that. All right. So, but if you want that course, send me Crypto Tutors and I'll send it to you.
Because you, in fact, are a crypto tutor. So Justin, let's talk a little bit about the book that you wrote, right? First of all, the title of the book is so fascinating. So let's just give folks what the title is.
So the title of the book is called In the Ocean Filled with Sharks, Be an Orca.
Okay, wait, I got to repeat that. In the ocean filled with sharks. Be an Orca. So why did you choose to title the book that?
So because one day, so I've always liked Animal Planet stuff. And so one day I was on I was on YouTube, I believe, and I heard someone say that, you know, the orca was the apex predator of the ocean. I'm like, well, damn, what happened to the shark? But they said that the shark wasn't, because the shark was, you know, basically dumb. They hunted alone, and they just went at the prey. They didn't really do anything of high level thinking. So as the orca being an apex predator, that means they were only hunted by humans. Nobody else in the water would hunt them. I'm thinking like, well, damn, how does that happen? So, you know, they're smarter, they're bigger, they work together, they communicate. And I'm thinking like, well, damn, that's kind of like how life and business is. Like, I would go to a lot of networking events early on, and I would just notice people, they were just trying to, you know, sell their stuff or be all about them. And it was just like, you know, everybody had that shark mentality, but nobody was really a shark. It was just, everybody was in it for themselves. And you could tell most of the time, those are the folks who don't really win. But the orca, number one, the orca was shark killers. You know what I mean? They ate the sharks. You know what I'm saying? They ate the sharks. So that already automatically makes you a big game prey. But then I remember I listened to this one coach by the name of JT Fox. He would always say, like, you know, be the top 1% of the 1%. And like the way I looked at operating, trying to grow as an entrepreneur, I had to use different skills. Like I had to learn how to communicate with people, think effectively, make the best connections, and then go from there. And just really look to impact people, not just myself. So I looked at that as making a separation of, all right, you can either be popular or you can be, you know, prosperous. And, you know, I aspire to be, you know, someone well known in certain circles that is like, you know, the top of that class, you know. And if you're popular, that's cool, but popularity doesn't necessarily always breed, you know, success. So with that mentality, it's always been a mentality of thinking, you know, how can I impact the people who are already, how can I impact the experts who are then leading the regular people? So that's how that came about.
And you know, you were kind enough to share the book with us, so thank you for that. And definitely in the comments, you know, for those of you who, you know, are wanting to learn more about Justin's story and how he became Bitcoin vegan, definitely, you know, let him know that you're interested. You know, use your referral code Crypto Tutors so that you can get put onto game as well. But Justin, in the book, you talk about your grandfather and how he, you know, was instrumental in, you know, in investment. In your grandfather was, I believe, a Bitcoin miner. Your mom had said that he was someone that just had a knack for picking great stocks.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about your family history and kind of how that inspired you.
Well, really, like that's probably about the only history there is, because he actually got scammed for the miner. But the fact that he wanted to buy the miner, he thought he hooked it up, it showed a lot to me. I'm like, well, damn, okay. But I remember when my mom would tell me, you know, he could have bought stock in Apple, in Windows, could have had like, you know, a lot of enterprise franchises. But he didn't, he sold them before, you know, they got to something. And so when I was
hold on a second, Justin, because that's really important though. I feel like a lot of, you know, minority communities, investing is not necessarily something that, you know, many of us have experienced, especially from like our elders, you know, like investing, especially in, you know, the stock market and what have you. That's not, and I come from, you know, an immigrant family. So, you know, that wasn't, you know, that wasn't something that was like within our purview. You know, I'm Haitian of descent. So I find it very interesting that your grandfather was, you know, not only investing in Bitcoin mining and the infrastructure required, the hardware required to mine Bitcoin, but he was also like a sophisticated enough investor to recognize that like Apple and Microsoft were great investments. So how did that influence, you know, you and your journey?
Well, that influenced me not to sell. because I wanted to make the correct decisions that, my granddad didn't make. And, yeah, we would, a lot of times people, they take on that seller's swagger mentality. Oh, I got this, I got in and out. And it's like, that doesn't build wealth. You're going to get out of Bitcoin or whatever and go right back into inflation. Like you're not really getting out of nothing. So I noticed that, a lot of times, and that mentality started bleeding down, even to the Black folks who do invest. They always think about getting in and out, I gotta get my money out. But what are you gonna get it out to do? Spend more money on some bullshit. So I started looking at Bitcoin like, well, how about we just learn how, and it took me a process to learn how not to do that, because I still had to learn, what my daily.
HODL. You talk about HODLing.
Yeah, I had to learn how to notice my daily spending habits. I really had to learn how to manage the money so I could always HODL. Because if I would get paid and put all my money in Bitcoin and then take it out, then I'm defeating the purpose. So early on, and in Black Bitcoin Billionaires, we have a room that I started, me and Naja, called From Bars to Bitcoin. And, we share this type of stuff with folks who come home from prison into Bitcoin, because I know most of them haven't had any type of investments. So, they think, oh, I got to get my money out, but that's not going to build wealth. That's something my granddad did. And so I was just like, well, I need to learn how to hold this and, really build this wealth instead of going with the regular everyday flow.
That's a really important point of distinction, right? What you're talking about is a trader's mentality, meaning you get in, you get out, versus an investor's mentality. And it sounds to me like, an actionable takeaway for the folks that are watching this in relation to what you're sharing is that, you use the acronym, and I love this, hold on dear life, as for HODL, which is hold. And I think that, when you have that mentality, it's a long-term play. If you got in Bitcoin in 2016 and it was hundreds of dollars, I think you said something around $600+. Well, 2016 versus 2021, only 5 years later, Bitcoin at its highest point was 64,000. I don't know what the exponential return on that is percentage-wise.
That's 100x.
100x.
That's 100x that took place in less than 4 years. So that's when I realized this was a wealth builder. Even when I first started buying Bitcoin, I used to sell food for Bitcoin. I used to wash cars for Bitcoin. I would do a lot of wild, out the norm shit to buy Bitcoin. And then when Bitcoin had taken that rise up to 20K, I was like, oh shit, this is a lot. So, even within that, it's all right. So people don't really think about that because they think so short term. But, right here on the call, you explained 100x, 4 years, in less than 4 years. I mean, in less than 5 years. I bought Bitcoin. The first time I bought Bitcoin was between the days of July 9th and July 14th, 2016. And we've already seen 100x before that. So, I mean, that's 4 years of 100x. And that in itself speaks to, a lot of times people try to hit me with a lot of traditional finance BS, in my opinion. Oh, I'm not here for the returns. I'm here. What are you here for? You know what I'm saying? You buy investments.
Justin's like, you're a liar. You are here for the returns. And Justin, let's keep it 100,000. Bitcoin is the best performing asset of the past decade. It appreciated 1,000%. So when you put it in that, when you put things into perspective around, what constitutes a good investment in your lifetime, most people will never experience 100x or a 3x return. It's literally the best hedge funds in the world average, a great hedge fund, 30% return. So without any marketing, without any, any support, it's been all organic. And the run up with Bitcoin was predominantly retail investors. You're starting to see more, institutional money coming into the marketplace. Goldman Sachs has deemed it an investable asset. There's an ETF in countries like Canada now, which is an exchange traded fund. So you're starting to see a lot more institutional adoption of Bitcoin. But just kind of wanted to level set with people. This is why we're talking about this cryptocurrency not just a revolution, but an evolution that makes it easier for people like, us who are not a part of the 1%ers to build wealth. Sorry, Justin, we just needed to call that out right quick.
Yeah, because the 1%ers are still taking their time. And then, people think just because you watch the news, like you're on their level, like you don't have to. 1% of a lot of people's money who's buying Bitcoin now is money folks who've never seen. So for me, in 2016, I'm thinking like, all right, if the top 1% is putting 1% of their money in Bitcoin, I need to be putting most of all my money in here. Like anything, every time I get paid, most of my wealth is in Bitcoin because I'm on a different side of the playing field. Like up here, there's major faith in the dollar. You got money tied up to different ways that you can't legally move. So you want to take, a little bit of what you have. But on the flip side, like if you're not nowhere in those ranges, you need to be looking at bigger risk because that's how I saw, everything going to growth for myself. It's like, all right, I'm already not winning with USD. So how do I win with Bitcoin? It had to be, an issue where I put most of my time, effort, energy, and money into it. So then it can all just exponentially grow together. Because like people don't realize we're making billionaire plays, billionaire speed. Like you see the average person now in Bitcoin now, they're trying to do everything they can because you got to have a sense of urgency because the year flies by quick. We're already in month 6 of 2021. And people all the time tell me, well, I'll get to it later, man. I'll check it out when I can. No, the hell you not, because that's another 3 months. And where's the price of Bitcoin going to be? So,
well, Justin, let's talk a little bit about, you have your book that you're about to release. I know that folks can pre-order now, where you talk about, let's dive into, what are some of the practical applications of getting involved. You have your course, you have your book, but if I'm someone who, has never invested in anything, what would you recommend to me? Like, how do I get started? Where do I begin?
Well, you can get started again with the course. What is Bitcoin? Matter of fact, it's on my website, bitcoinvegan.com. And if you go to shop, but again, if you send me Crypto Tutors, you'll see it on there for $200. If you don't send me Crypto Tutors, you will not get a discount for $75.
And you're not really about that life, Justin. They're not about that life if they don't send you Crypto Tutors. I mean,
I don't really. If they don't buy the book, they're not going to understand anything. Like if you don't buy the pre-sale, you won't understand any way that I think. I just gotta be honest with you. So you gotta buy the pre-sale, you gotta buy the book. And you'll understand like the very practical ways. Practical ways start with serious education. And, I hate to say it, we live in this world where everybody wants to say, do your own research, but the way that the internet is set up, if it's not for people like, Ms. Lisa and Crypto Tutors or myself or Black Bitcoin Billionaires, your research is going to lead you to losing more money. So it's just the facts. Like, I know most of you out here are super intelligent. And you were the A student in the class, but that shit does not help nowadays.
Want to learn more? Visit cryptotutors.com. This episode is sponsored by Cash App.